Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and today we are going to be discussing some summer food shortages that we need to look out for. I am coming to you late night. We've had quite a busy day. I will fill everybody in eventually when I get some more answers. But yeah, we're working through some things. If you're new here, hi, hello. My name is Tori. We make videos 3 to 4 times a week all about life here in Northern Colorado. I like to teach you how to be prepared on a budget. And my new thing is teaching you about being aware. A lot of us are, and honestly, a lot of us are not. So I think it's really important, especially now in this day and age, to know where our food is coming from and how it is being affected. So if you like that kind of thing, make sure to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let's get into this list. So yes, I am working with this shadow here, trying not to be distracted. It's hard for me to film during the day just because I am a stay-at-home mom and there are sounds and everybody needs my attention. So I hope you don't mind the shadows. I have a quick list for you. In the last video, we went over some things that you should be stocking up on that are non-food related. And I want you to pay attention to some of these items. And if you're new here, check back on some of those videos before giving an example of what I forgot on the list. Of course, I know there are more than 5 items out there, but in this video, those are the items that I'm focusing on. So number 1 on the list, we've talked about it before, it's going to be corn. The corn harvest this season is projected to be at a major loss. And in this video, I want to show you ways of how to get around the shortage. I don't really want to tell you about why it's a shortage. I don't want to tell you about an easy fix, but I do want to give you my opinion and give you some solutions to the problem. So corn, I love it. My family loves it. I try and buy organic, non-GMO corn. It is very hard to find, I will tell you that, but I am seeing a corn shortage as a positive, and stick with me. Corn syrup. Corn syrup's terrible for you, and it's in a lot of different items that we all consume. I am hoping this year the corn doesn't go to too much of a corn syrup direction, but maybe to some fresh corn. But you have to think about corn. It goes to a lot of different factors, not only for us humans, but a lot of our animals that we consume as well. So we need to be thinking about that. Corn crop, can be important or not important. Depends how you look at it. My solution for this, and not a lot of people are gonna like this, I love to grow corn. It does take up quite a bit of space and you get little to no yield depending on what climate you are in. This year in my garden, we are doing the 3 Sisters method of corn planting. So that is 3 different crops. You're gonna do corn, squash, and a bean. And my selection this year is some corn, some pumpkin, and some yellow wax beans. And you'll have to look into it for some more instructions, but essentially your beans are going to trellis up your corn stalks, and then the squash will kind of umbrella out under everything, and your corn will create some shade for the squash. If you've done some 3 Sisters planting, please let me know. I've done it before and I love the look of it, but I also love the outcome. So that is my solution. Another one could be to buy some bulk corn in dry form, and you could do that at Azure Standard. You could also look into some local farms that offer that option. If you really love corn as much as my family does, find it when it's in season and when it is best available to you price-wise, and then freeze it or can it. You can pressure can corn, but we love freezer corn. Of course, in a emergency situation where we're losing power, if there's a grid down, you might lose some of your corn crop that you have preserved. So I suggest maybe canning some, as well as having some dry, as well as having some frozen. But planting corn this year might not be a bad idea. Number 2 on this list is going to be avocados. And I've seen an avocado shortage before, but I've also seen an inflated cost for avocados. There are a variety of reasons for that, some scary reasons for that, mainly where our avocados are coming from and who has control of that crop. But avocados, you know, I save for a rainy day. It's not something that everybody enjoys. It's not something that I even grew up eating. But if you love your avocado toast, perhaps forget about that for a little bit and invest in some freeze-dried avocados. If you have a freeze dryer, great, freeze dry your own avocados. But if you don't have access to that, you can find freeze-dried avocados on a lot of online stores. And my favorite thing to do with that is to reconstitute and make into guacamole. Of course, there are a variety of things that you can make with freeze-dried avocados, and I'm sorry I don't have many solutions for you, but we live in northern Colorado. Avocados just don't really grow in abundance here. It's not something that we can get as a local crop, but that really is my only solution for you. A lot of people I have heard have frozen their avocados. I haven't had success doing that, so let me know what your solution would be to the avocado food shortage in the comments down below. Number 3 on this list is going to be tomatoes, and you might be seeing a pattern here. These are produce items, and of course I am a sucker for produce. If you're new here, I eat plant-based for majority of my life, but I really enjoy fruits and vegetables, and a lot of these fruits and vegetables are made into other items that we use on the daily in my household. So keep in mind this list might not be personal to you, but it could affect you or your family. So when I think about tomatoes, I think about garden fresh tomatoes. They're absolutely delicious. So that is my solution to you: garden your own tomatoes. And I don't mean to sound redundant when it comes to that, but having a garden is very important. Having heirloom seeds is very important. I've talked about that in a video, but with heirloom seeds, you can continue to grow your crop. I say it is the gift that keeps giving if you know how to store your seeds and keep them safe. But of course, tomatoes are used in different ways as well. We love growing tomatoes because we can use our homegrown tomatoes to make into tomato sauce for the year, salsas, different types of rotel, like your own version of rotel. You can put it in chilies. You can just do diced tomatoes. I've even taken slivers of tomatoes and froze them and then put them on margarita pizzas. That's just one example, but there are so many things you can do with tomatoes. They are highly acidic, so you can water bath can them. If you are new to canning, I would suggest maybe trying out some high acidic vegetables and fruits that you have grown in your garden and go from there. It's really not that difficult. You just need some patience and some faith in yourself, but of course pressure canning works as well. So tomatoes are coming mainly out of California. California has cut their crop. Again, I don't really want to go into why there are shortages. I've done that before, and I want to keep these videos quick, but you can look into it if you would like. Again, my suggestion, my solution would be to grow your own, but I totally understand that not everybody out there wants to do that. So if you find a deal on tomatoes, try your hand at preserving them, storing them in a canned option or a freezer option, and then going from there. Of course, this might affect canned items in the future. We are also facing an aluminum shortage, so that is something to look into. I get a lot of my tomato products that we're not making on Azure Standard, and I like the Jovial variety. They mainly come in glass containers, and their tomato paste is delicious. So I suggest trying that if you can't find someone local to buy from. Next on the list here is going to be some brassicas. We have broccoli and cauliflower, and again, this might not affect you if it's not something that you enjoy, but we love it. This is another one where you're kind of going to forget about the amazing benefits of fresh broccoli and cauliflower, but think about broccoli and cauliflower as an ingredient of things that you enjoy. So broccoli cheddar soup comes to mind for me. Maybe you could make a few batches of that and freeze it. My favorite way to freeze soup is to put them into little silicone molds that you would use for cupcakes, and then freeze them, and then you would put them in a freezer bag and you would have perfect little portions of soup. I enjoy doing that. There is a way to can broccoli and cauliflower soup with dairy in it. I definitely suggest doing that in a pressure canning scenario, but it's something to think about. So with broccoli, you can obviously blanch it and freeze it as well. But again, these are great crops to grow. For us in Colorado, my broccoli and cauliflower is already in the ground because they actually enjoy the cool weather. So I can plant them before my frost and they should be fine. I'm in zone 5B and that's a pretty common zone. So I would definitely look into that. You can also grow broccoli and cauliflower indoors. A lot of people get scared of growing those cabbages and those broccolis and cauliflowers indoors, but I've seen it been done before. I've done it. It just doesn't produce a large crop for me. It still produces an edible crop, but it's something to look into. Even if you're in a smaller apartment, focus on a product, a produce product that you enjoy the most and focus on that for the year. It doesn't have to be a variety of produce indoors, but there are ways to grow indoors. I feel like I say that in every video. So again, I apologize about being redundant, but I want to get my point across that it is very possible. Broccoli and cauliflower is another one that you can find freeze dried, and I have found them on Amazon. August Farms is a great store to buy from on Amazon. I support their company. I think they're great. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but they have some really great sales. So put a price alert on if you support Amazon. You could also go directly to their site, I believe. I'm not sure if their percentages off their clearance items are as high as Amazon, but it's definitely something to look into. They even have a broccoli cheddar freeze-dried soup base, but they also have just plain broccoli and plain cauliflower freeze-dried. And the best way to reconstitute that is to add it to some hot water. I found that it just doesn't have the taste of steamed broccoli, but if I put it on a sheet pan meal, it works out well. I've never reconstituted it into like a cool broccoli salad or anything like that, but that is something to look into. So if you are going to be missing out on your broccoli and cauliflower, I suggest trying to find it on sale and or finding the seeds on sale and get to planting. And last but not least on our list is going to be lettuce. Now, lettuce is the easiest thing to grow inside. I feel like I could have fresh salad all year around if I tried my hardest, but lettuce has been affected this season just because of fluctuating temperatures and where it's coming from. I don't exactly know where majority of our lettuce is produced. I can't really find a reliable source on that. So if you know that, definitely let us know down in the comments. But I enjoy a fresh salad all year around. But when I'm thinking of lettuce, I'm thinking of different varieties. I'm thinking of all kinds of greens. I'm thinking of collards, spinach, kale, like even those hardier ones. So when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about ways to grow it and freeze dry it. And honestly, it can be a lot to take on when you're thinking about growing all of the varieties of vegetables and fruits that you really enjoy. I get that. So perhaps take a back burner to growing your own greens and maybe look to your local grocery store. If you are fortunate enough to have a Kroger-owned grocery store in your area, definitely look into their clearance items. I have chickens and ducks on the property here, and they love their greens. They absolutely go wild for it every single day, and I feed them on around $7 a week for the greens. Of course, I feed them grains and other items. They do really enjoy meat and, eggshells and mealworms and things like that. They really love bugs, but that's besides the point. I am talking about feeding them on the cheap, and the cheapest place I have found is Kroger. They have so many organic varieties of greens that just go on sale. Sometimes they get down to 54 cents, and I'm really not spending that much per week, so it takes my monthly cost down. So that's something to look into. If you don't have a Kroger, maybe look into a local farm that sells year around. I'm fortunate enough to be in Colorado. I feel like farming and produce and just grown local products is very much supported in this state, but I understand that's not the case everywhere. So you definitely have to look into that. And then I also wanted to add to this little produce list that I'm giving you, try and eat in season. I learned that from Lisa from the blog Farmhouse on Boone. She's awesome. Of course, a lot of you have heard of her, but she said this years ago and it really has stuck with me, just eating what fruits and vegetables are in season. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you are storing some of these products in your prepper pantry. Of course, it's okay to eat canned beans when they're out of season, but it is something to think about when you are stocking up on different varieties. And then I'd also like to add just one more in here, and I don't think it will be a shortage, but it is something that you can keep in your prepper pantry. And for me, it's going to be potatoes, carrots, onions, and squash, and they will last me the entire year. I don't live in a warm climate and I have access to a cool area. I don't have a cellar. It's more of a makeshift root cellar. So if you are wanting to stock up on ground babies, is what my family calls it, potatoes, onions, squash, garlic, carrots, beets, things like that, it is possible to keep them year round. It's just something that you need to have attention to detail for, in my opinion. You could also do sweet potatoes in this, but we are still eating sweet potatoes that we grew last year, and it's, you know, almost been a year. I've heard of sweet potatoes lasting for 2 years. So I wanted to add that in here when we're talking about produce and how to keep it long term, because it definitely is possible and a lot of people have done it. So let me know in the comments down below, share your experience. It's just so helpful to have a vast and wide variety of knowledge in the comment box, and I really appreciate when you all do that so we can have a conversation about how to prep in a positive way. You might see me kind of laugh and giggle on these videos. I got some feedback on that recently, and I do take this life seriously, but if we take this prepping life way too seriously, that it might drive us crazy. I've been there before, and I want to have a sensible approach to this, and I think that's really important for beginner preppers, and that's really who I'm trying to talk to when it comes to this list. But of course, there's so many experienced people in the crowd, so I'd love it again if you shared your input in the comment box. I know a lot of people read these comments, and it's definitely appreciated. Alrighty, my friends, that is going to do it for this week's food list. Let me know in the comment box if you want to see more lists like this and what kind of lists that you would like to see. I really think 5 is our goal here, 5 to 6 items. I think that is the most attainable. I think it gives a variety, and I think it's a good number to start with. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.